Welcome to Alive and Well, the podcast for the new era of high achievers. You're done burning out, and you're ready to lead, work, and live in a rhythm that honors both your brilliance and your body. I'm your host, Michelle Grosser. I'm a trial attorney turned nervous system strategist, and I've lived the burnout story. I know what it's like to chase your goals at the expense of your well-being. And I also know it doesn't have to be that way. Here, we're redefining success. It's where productivity feels peaceful, boundaries feel like freedom, and energy comes from within. Each week, I'll share practical tools for nervous system regulation, time mastery, and somatic strategies so you can show up with clarity, calm, and confidence in every part of your life. Because you, my friend, were given a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So here's to life and living it fully. This is the path to feeling alive and well. Let's dive in. What's up, you guys? It's Michelle here. Welcome to Alive and Well. On today's episode, I want to talk about some of the things that I actually stopped doing in order to regulate my nervous system and help me create energy from the inside out. And I think so often when we think of something that we want to experience or change or what have you in our life or how we feel or our health, it feels like we have to add, right? We have to start doing new things, start doing things differently. We got to squeeze in some new routines or practices or habits into our already packed schedule. But what I have learned over my journey of learning how to regulate my nervous system in the last 7 or 8 years is that so much of this work of regulating my nervous system, of healing all of these patterns I was running that was getting me to a place of burnout to begin with, is actually so much more about taking away, right? And removing stuff from my calendar and my routine and actually doing less. It's addition by subtraction, right? Everything that I need to feel better and to heal is already within me. I don't need to go out and get it. I just need to kind of strip away all of the things that are keeping me busy and distracted and dysregulated. It's the law of emergence, right? It's already there. So we achieve more by actually doing less. It's a process of addition by subtraction. So if you ever found yourself saying that you know better, right? It's like, I know the things that I shouldn't be doing, but I just feel like I can't stop and I keep pushing. I think this episode is really going to be helpful for you because the truth of the matter is that burnout isn't like a calendar issue, a planner issue, a time management issue, a lack of self-care issue. It's not a mindset issue. At its core, it's a nervous system issue. And I think sometimes the hardest part is that the behaviors that are driving your burnout are things that we think are actually helping us to succeed, right? It's our discipline. It's our willpower. It's our ability to run on little sleep. It's our ability to manage a packed calendar. And I really had to learn this the hard way because I used to be the queen of hustle, right? Like grab my morning coffee, skip breakfast, get to the office before anyone else, work all morning, skip lunch, still answering emails at 10 p.m., saying yes to everything, all while managing my home life and parenting and marriage and all the things. And on paper, I think it would have been really easy to take a look at what my days looked like and think that I was thriving. But on the inside, I just felt really disconnected. Now I know what I was feeling was a lot of dysregulation. I was just kind of quietly unraveling. So since the last burnout, the last deep burnout that I've really experienced back in 2017, I've just been on this mission personally, and then it's just transformed my life. So I'm so passionate about sharing it with you on this mission to work and live differently. So again, not by doing more, and not even necessarily always by doing less, but by doing from a regulated place. So what I want to walk you through today is actually 6 different things that I stopped doing that really changed the game for my nervous system. And then I want to talk through what I started doing instead, because I think you can do the same. But let's kind of start by grounding in the why, right? Why should you care? Why do these shifts work? Why is this relevant, or maybe the missing piece that you've been looking for? Because the things you've been trying probably haven't been working. Your nervous system is responsible for keeping you safe, and it is always scanning, you guys. It's always scanning your environment. It's always scanning your own somatic cues in your body, what's going on internally. Every freaking millisecond, your nervous system is asking one question, right? Am I safe or am I in danger? And it does this through a process that we call neuroception. It's basically this subconscious process that evaluates safety based on, like I was saying, our internal cues, things like, how are you breathing? What is your heart rate at? How are your muscles tense? Or are they relaxed? So all of these different internal cues, and then also what's happening in our environment, or external cues, right? Other people's facial expressions, tone of voice, relational cues, things like that. When our nervous system perceives anything that may somewhat be a threat, right? Maybe it's a physical threat to our body. Maybe, we get cut off in traffic and we have to slam the brakes because we almost hit into another car. Our nervous system in that moment perceives a physical threat and responds accordingly, right? That makes sense. But sometimes it looks like an emotional threat, right? Maybe I'm going to be abandoned or rejected or ridiculed or criticized. Maybe it's a social threat. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a physical threat to our safety. Our nervous system, if it perceives any sort of threat, anything that might be stressful or uncomfortable or not good for us, it automatically shifts it into what we call a stress response, right? And you guys have probably heard of these: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So if we're in fight mode, our response to stress might be that our body tenses up and we try to control things, or we notice that we're feeling really reactive. Or if it's flight mode, maybe we just all of a sudden are hit with this wave of anxiety, right? We just want to crawl out of our skin. We're so uncomfortable. Or it's really hard to slow down. We're like, busy, stay distracted. If I slow down, I feel super restless. I have to be doing something all the time. Or we jump into overachieving, right? I'm just going to get to the office. I'm going to work. I'm going to do better. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to push more than anybody else does. Flight response. Or maybe it's a freeze response and we just kind of shut down. We withdraw, we numb out, we space out, we disconnect. Or it might be the fawn response, right? That's our people-pleasing response. I'm just going to keep everybody happy. I'm going to say yes to more. I'm going to, over-accommodate and make sure everybody's good. I'm going to self-abandon and say yes when I really want to say no, right? Just to keep people happy. The appeasing response, our fawn response. And the tricky part is that so often we have been rewarded for becoming dysregulated, especially those of us, you guys listening, who are the high achievers, type A, do it all, right? We've been rewarded for our hustle. We've been rewarded for our perfectionism. We've been rewarded for being super responsible and mature and, all of the things that society applauds, especially, through childhood, adolescence, early adulthood, and then now. But our body pays the price. So what I want to do today is I really want to peel back some of the beliefs and behaviors that are keeping your nervous system stuck in a chronic state of overdrive and offer you a gentle, science-backed alternative that really creates more regulation and energy in your life. So let's jump in. These are 6 things that I stopped doing and what I do instead. And as we go through these, for the ones that really land for you guys, for the ones that are resonating, maybe just pick up 1 or 2, right? And try to put more intention and resolve and attention around those in the week to come. And then just notice, right? Just be an observer and notice anything that shifts. And if you see a shift that feels like it's serving you well, more of that. So the first thing I stopped doing is I stopped saying yes out of guilt or fear. I was spending so much time, y'all, in a fawn response or a flight response that saying yes was like my go-to survival strategy. I said yes to avoid the conflict. I said yes to keep the peace. I said yes to, maintain my image as the reliable one. But every yes that wasn't authentic put my body in a state of self-betrayal. I was abandoning my own needs and my own desires and my own wants and my own values and my own priorities and all of it. And that creates a low-grade internal stress over time. So this has been a process. I'm so much better at it now. And what I do now, or what I try to do most of the time, is that I am getting really good at pausing before responding, right? When someone asks something of me, do I want to attend? Do I want to lead? Do I want to take it on? Do I want to participate? I used to just respond right away, right? Now I take a beat. I pause. I regulate first. I walk on it, right? Like forget sleeping on stuff like this, guys. Walk on it. Go for a walk and think about it. Take a few deep breaths. Activate your vagus nerve. Come back to a place of safety where you can respond with intention. And that's exactly the question that I ask myself, right? If I say yes to this, is this yes coming from a place of safety? Is it coming from a place of intention and being grounded and actually choosing this because it's in alignment with my priorities and my values in this season? Or is this yes coming from a place of survival, right? Is it coming from a place of scarcity that I might not get this opportunity again, right? Is it coming from a place of trying to prove something? Is it coming from a place where I don't want to disappoint someone else, or I don't want to cause them more work because then they're going to have to turn around and maybe, no one else is going to say yes and then it's going to be all on them and, what have you. Ask myself. You can ask yourself the same question. Is this yes coming from a place of safety or survival? And let that guide you. So that's the first thing I stopped doing, saying yes out of guilt or fear. The second thing that I stopped doing is that I stopped pushing through exhaustion. From a neurobiological perspective, burnout's what happens when we just keep ignoring our body's cues for too long, right? We override the fatigue, and the more that our system adapts by staying in a sympathetic fight or flight state, right? The more that we override our fatigue, the more we stay stuck in fight or flight. And it's because it's what polyvagal theory calls neural platforming, but it basically means that our body gets stuck in a stress response because we have trained ourselves and our nervous system no longer trusts that rest is safe. Right. And I even experienced this week. Like we were on a vacation last week. We were in Ecuador for 8 days. It was amazing. But you guys know travel with kids is more travel than vacation, right? You're still parenting. You're just not at home doing it. And it was incredible, right? It was just one of the best weeks of my life. Like memory burn so good. And then I got back. And it's like catch up on all the work stuff because the world's still been turning while I've been on this trip, and getting the house back in order and getting the kids back on track and getting work back in order and go, getting caught up on so much stuff. And by midweek, like Wednesday was such a full day for me. That's our Burnout Recovery Blueprint live call. On Thursday, you guys, I woke up and I was just like, by 10 a.m., I just felt tired, right? And old me would have pushed through that and continued to, have a full calendar in the afternoon and keep going and do all the things and come home and clean the house and make dinner. And I was just like, no, I'm going to honor my body's cue of fatigue. I'm going to honor that my body needs rest. I don't have to like sit here and try to figure out why I'm so tired, right? It doesn't matter. If I'm feeling tired, I need rest, and I don't need to numb out, and I don't need to disconnect, and I don't need to dissociate, and I don't need to sit here and scroll or binge Netflix. I need rest. And I honored that. And what I
it hasn't always been that way, but I think when I was just starting to really grow in awareness of the fact that I kept overriding my fatigue, I started with honoring like micro rest, right? Even 2 minutes between meetings, 2 minutes to stretch, close your eyes, right? Step outside. That can help your system return to a ventral vagal state. That's your body's kind of home base of calm connection. So now I'm pretty diligent about how I run and organize my calendar to prioritize white space, right? To prioritize margin in my calendar as though it were another meeting. Because honestly, that margin in my calendar, that white space that's blocked off in my calendar is probably the most important meeting I'll have all day, because it's really where I have space to create and to think and to recharge and to rest and to ground myself. And then from that place, I'm so much more organized and focused and productive and just able to show up how I want to show up. So that's second. The third thing that I stopped doing to help regulate my nervous system is I got really clear on some boundaries around my phone. I stopped checking my phone, especially first thing in the morning. I actually had to put an app on my phone that it blocks all of the apps on my phone that I would tend to go to in the morning. Until right now, they're blocked until 10 a.m. So from when I wake up, and I wake up pretty early. So I think it starts at like 3 a.m. But from 3 a.m. until 10 a.m., all social media, texting apps, my email, all of that stuff, Slack is blocked until 10 a.m. because this is what I know. Dopamine plus cortisol is a brutal cocktail. When you reach for your phone, first thing in the morning, first of all, the brain waves that are happening in that liminal space between sleep and you waking up and starting your day is so valuable. There's so much power in those types of brainwaves. And when you reach for your phone before your feet hit the floor, you spike your stress hormones, right? Even if you don't notice it, maybe like I pick up my phone, but I don't I check through my calendar and I check through what I've got going on the day and any emails that might have come in overnight, but it's not like I'm, picking up my phone and getting really triggering text or like reading, news that feels really stressful or horrific. It doesn't matter, you guys. When you grab your phone first thing in the morning, your body, your nervous system equates that phone to a place where people need you, right? Where information is always coming through. And there's a physiological response to that. There's a spike in stress hormones. It starts to create comparison loops, right? It hijacks your attention for the rest of the day. And it really primes your nervous system, not for being present and grounded and regulated, but for a day of reactivity. So like I said, I use the Freedom app on my phone. I start my morning with my body, not with my inbox, not with my social media feed, not with, my work team. I stretch, right? I take some deep breaths, or I just sit in silence. I get up, I have some water, I have something quick to eat, like a hard-boiled egg or some yogurt. Not about a perfect routine, but it's really about orienting myself to safety before all of the world's chaos and needs and all the things come rushing in. So that's third. Fourth is that I stopped measuring my worth by my productivity. And this one for me was so sneaky. Like if you had asked me 10 years ago, does your value come from what you produce or what you achieve? I would have been like, no, of course it doesn't, right? That's so silly. I know that my worth is infinite and intrinsic, right? I know whose I am. I know how much I'm loved regardless of what I do, but I sure was not acting that way, right? Subconsciously, that was driving so much of how I was showing up. Productivity, I had to learn, is not a personality trait. I am not a quote unquote productive person. It was a protective strategy. And this might be true for you too. And I've had to learn, especially in the last couple years, that I'm not actually chasing productivity. Do I love and value getting things done? Do I think that is important? Yes, absolutely. I like to optimize the ways in which I show up. But I'm not chasing productivity. I'm chasing fulfillment, right? I don't want to go to bed at the end of the day and just have my checklist that I keep by my desk like ticked off and go to bed. I want to live a life where when I put my head on the pillow at the end of the day, I feel fulfilled. And productivity is a part of that, I think, but there's so much more, right? How am I filling my cup relationally? How am I filling my cup spiritually? How am I filling my cup physically and emotionally? It's not just about what I can produce. And this pattern starts so early, right? Maybe you grew up in an environment that equated your performance with love or approval, right? Not explicitly, or maybe it was explicit. Maybe you did have a caregiver that was like, hey, if you get an A, we'll be able to do this thing, or, however that showed up. But for so many of us, it was way more subtle than that, right? And when we did well and when we achieved and when we, made the team or got first chair in choir or got the grades or made the honor roll, then we would hear, right, the approval of our caregivers. Then we would get the atta girl, right? Then we would be taken out for lunch and have one-on-one time with our parents or what have you. And when that was constantly reinforced, our nervous system really learned to associate doing well with being safe. Doing well. If I do well, if I do the things, if I get it done, if I do the best, then, people love me and they affirm me and that feels really safe. So what's the flip side? What's the inverse of that? Slowing down doesn't just feel neutral. Slowing down often feels like failure, subconsciously, right? So what do I do instead? I have to remind myself daily, I am not chasing productivity. I want to experience a day of fulfillment. My worth is not up for negotiation, right? I still love working hard. Don't get me wrong. I can work so hard, but I no longer do it from a place of trying to prove, right? Trying to prove that I deserve to exist by doing more than what's humanly possible. And this is really a rewiring process, and it's a big one. And inside of Burnout Recovery Blueprint, we actually go really deep on this one because I think it's so often the root of why burnout keeps repeating itself. All right, so that's number 4. And then number 5, I stopped tolerating, it's a boundaries thing. I stopped tolerating energy draining conversations and commitments. And this one, there's like a rub here, right? Because, well, let's just start with this, I guess. Chronic stress really shrinks our window of tolerance. What's our window of tolerance? It's our bandwidth. It's our ability to handle what life throws at us. It's our capacity to stay regulated in the face of stress, right? In the face of challenges and deadlines and, parenting. And when your plate is full of obligations that deplete you, right? The opposite of the things that fill your cup, the things that just poke holes in your cup, right? Drill holes right through it. The things that deplete you, the people who are just like energy vampires. You spend 5 minutes with them and you just leave feeling so drained. They suck you dry, right? They complain. They have the worst mindset. They're so negative or they're so critical, right? Or maybe it's an environment that feels like that. Maybe it's a commitment, right? I keep saying yes to this, but man, every time I go there or every time I work on this project or every time I'm part of this team, or it's just so draining and I dread it. When our plate is full of obligations that deplete us, we're constantly edging toward overwhelm. So I sat down one day and I just started to audit my obligations, right? The things in my calendar. And I acknowledge that I have the privilege to be able to control my calendar 100%. It wasn't always the case, right? When I worked in big law, straight out of law school, when I worked for employers, that wasn't the case, but now it is. And I think even back then, and for those of you who are in corporate, or do have, people that you report to and obligations that you have to meet, there's just no way around it. I promise you there are things in your calendar that are voluntary or optional that are in there that are costing you more than they're giving you, right? Maybe it's over the weekend. Maybe it's things you've said yes to in the evenings, maybe whatever it is, right? Maybe it's how you spend your holidays. Maybe it's time with your family, your extended family. What's costing me more than it's giving me? And I went through my calendar for the next quarter with that filter. What's costing me more than it's giving me? And I just started highlighting stuff. And then I went back through every single event that felt like it was costing me more than it's giving me. Even if it was close, I highlighted it. And then I went back and I started to brainstorm ways how I could delete it from my calendar, right? How can I exit altogether? How can I back out gracefully? How can I decline, say no? Or can I delegate this, right? Is there someone I could hire to delegate this to? Is there someone on my team or someone that I'm raising up who I could actually teach how to do this and delegate to? Or if that's not the case, right? And if I actually do have to do this and that's the absolute truth, then I need to really reframe my mindset around it. I really need to reframe my approach to this because protecting my peace is not selfish. Protecting my peace is paramount, right? Even more than that, I'll go this far. I don't even think it's about protecting my peace. I think it's about projecting my peace. Projecting my peace isn't selfish. It's actually strategic. And I think that's a good place to start. And then finally, number 6, the 6th thing I stopped doing in order to really regulate my nervous system and protect my energy is that I stopped delaying joy. I stopped delaying joy. I don't know why it's like making me emotional as I'm talking about this. But guys, when your nervous system is in survival mode, feeling joy, first of all, we feel like it's frivolous, right? I don't have time for this. I have too many other things to do, right? I'm not worth celebrating. This wasn't a big deal. And or joy can even feel unsafe because joy is so vulnerable, right? Heaven forbid I let myself experience something that actually feels joyful or good. And then what happens if something bad happens? Or what happens if this is taken away, right? That taste of joy is going to hurt too much. So joy can feel unsafe. But the nervous system needs experiences of joy. Your spirit needs experiences of joy and of novelty and of play and of pleasure just to rewire. Joy, and this is like objectively, this is measurable. Joy increases your vagal tone, which means it increases your resilience and your capacity to stay regulated in the face of stress. Joy increases your baseline, or it restores your baseline stress level, right? It gives you more bandwidth. Joy balances your cortisol levels. Like, this is real, guys. It's not just like this nice to have, pie in the sky kind of thing. So what did I do? I made joy alarms in my phone, and they went off 4 times a day. They went off in the morning, and then they went off breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then one went off in the evening. And I did that for months. 4 times a day, my phone alarm would go off and it would be a joy alarm. And then I would just do something in that moment that felt silly or fun or somatically, right? I would, click play on Spotify and just dance for 30 seconds. I would jump up and down. I would do the twist. I would stand up and jump and give myself a high five. I would put this big smile on my face. I would, do a fist pump in the car and just be like, woohoo, a joy alarm, right? Whatever that looked like. Maybe sometimes I would send a voice note to a friend. Sometimes I would just, think of a little glimmer, some memory from the day or the day before or what have you that really just was so sweet or brought me so much joy or made me feel so good. The little things that bring me back to life, right? The goal isn't just to get through the day, you guys. It's to feel alive while doing it. And there is so much power in regulating our nervous system and rewiring all our neural pathways when we're in a space of joy. Joy is safe. Every one of these shifts helped me heal from burnout. Every single one, right? And more importantly, they actually help it to be sustained, right? They protect me from burnout now. They help me to stay well. And that's just the truth. Like, regulation isn't just this one-time thing, right? It's not all about state change. It's really about trait change. I wanted to change my traits. I wanted to change how I show up and how I feel, what life looks and feels like for me, right? How do I describe myself? What am I like? I wanted to change my traits, not just my state. Regulation isn't a one-time thing. It's not just this little, hack that you have or this little practice that can help change your state. It's really a rhythm. It's really a lifestyle, right? It's really a relationship with your body. It's really about checking in and then choosing every moment what supports your energy instead of draining it. And you don't need to overhaul everything this week, right? Please don't. But I think maybe you can stop doing one of these things that's really been keeping your nervous system stuck and try something kinder instead, right? Try something that serves you better in this season instead. And if you're ready to learn exactly how to regulate your nervous system and build habits that last and finally exit the cycle of dysregulation, think about joining us inside of the fall cohort of Burnout Recovery Blueprint. We start the week after Labor Day, so the second week in September. It's really this framework that I've developed over the last 7 years, a step-by-step path to feeling grounded and energized and fully alive. And I would just so love for you to be a part of it. Learn to regulate your nervous system this fall. The kids are back in school, right? Our rhythm gets back to a more predictable pace. And go into the holidays and the new year just feeling so different in all the best ways. All right. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I love you guys so much. Until next time, be kind to yourselves. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
If you love Mommy's Podcast, leave a review.
Thanks for listening to Alive and Well. If today's episode resonated, would you do me a favor? Take 30 seconds and leave a 5-star rating and short review. It really helps to get this show out to other people just like you who could also use the information in this podcast. And if you're ready to take the next step in regulating your nervous system, download my free Nervous System Reset Guide. It's linked right in the show notes. Inside, you'll find simple, body-based practices to help you feel more clear, calm, and connected starting today. Make sure you're following the show so you don't miss out on what's coming next, because you were made to thrive. Fully alive, fully present, and fully well. I'll see you soon.